Hi, welcome to a Barmy Army podcast. Tonight I'm joined by Iain and Jake. How you both doing, guys?
Anyway, good, thanks.
Jake, you all right?
Good. Yeah,
Good.
all good.
Good. This is going to be the last, what we're calling the isolation podcasts. We were going to continue next week where we will be reviewing the game from Sunday. Tonight we're going to do a little bit of a preview of the game and what we think. So I think we should start with the big news that's really come out during the week. It's not Man United women related, unfortunately. It is Chelsea related, and the signing of Pernille Harder from Wolfsburg for a reported 300,000. Good signing for Chelsea. Jake?
Clearly, obviously, 100%. She's one of the best players in Europe. Look, I don't even need to describe her. We all know what she's done at Wolfsburg and what she's achieved in her career. So, she's just making an incredible team even better.
Yeah, I think what got me about the whole thing was the sum of 300,000. I mean, in men's football, 300,000 is nothing. But honestly, I know there's a lot of Man United women fans out there in the social media world who wanted her to come to United. But I think if we're all being honest, there was only one club she was really going to go in, yeah?
Yeah, I would say so. She would have been available on a free next summer. And then she would have had a choice. But it doesn't surprise me she's gone to Chelsea, and it doesn't surprise me Chelsea spent the money. It really doesn't. She's won. She's had such a good career at Wolfsburg. The manager at Wolfsburg leaving at the end of the season as well. So I thought she might hang out until the end of the season and go on a free. But hey, it's good for Wolfsburg because they just made a bucket load of money. And the worrying thing is she's match fit and ready for Sunday.
That is the worry. Evening, John. Evening, Debs. Evening, Torrin. Hope you're all right. Yeah, so we'll come on. Well, we'll discuss Sunday. Chelsea. I suppose if you're going to start, you might as well play against the one of the best teams in the league. Nothing to lose, really. Hopefully, they'll have an off day. I take it you watched the Charity Shield, Community Shield. I apologise, Community. Was that just a really bad day for Chelsea, Jake?
It was a bad day, and he still won. I think that says a lot about them. But both teams. It was a dire match for both teams. Obviously, the good goal from Millie Bright of all people sort of put Chelsea in the driving seat, and then Erin Cuthbert scoring at the end. It sort of glossed over what was just a poor match in general. And you can only hope that this game on Sunday and then all the others, of course, are much better than that. But Chelsea did have glimpses in that match of what they can do. But let's just hope we have another off day like that. With no screamers. That is.
Let's hope. Just before I go to Ian, are they your favourites to win the WSL this year, Jake?
Yeah, absolutely. I just can't see anyone else challenging them.
Okay. Ian, dire game.
Yeah, I was going to say the first 60 minutes or so of the Community Shield on Saturday was, shall we say, dire and wasn't a great advert for women's football. But it was the girls' first real competitive game in 6 months. So, it was going to happen. It wasn't going to be great. I didn't expect Millie Bright to come out with that. I don't think anybody did. And then it was a case of, City had to press forward. But they weren't done on a break. It was a good goal, The second goal was good and just tied it all up. But they're going to be tough to beat this season, Chelsea. It doesn't matter who they are. I know they've got Champions League as well. But they've now got a squad size that should be able to cope with that. Bringing in Pernille Harder. Just be honest. I don't know whoever's left out of that Chelsea squad every match day is going to, there's going to be at least 5 or 6 players who aren't going to even be a chance of playing. So Emma Hayes has got a lot of good players at their disposal. So, yeah, tough to beat this season. It wouldn't surprise me if they go the season unbeaten as well.
Just before we move on, your pick to win it as well, Ian? Chelsea?
Yeah.
Okay. Evening, John. John Fry's in the comments. He's been honest. He says he can't see us winning. Being honest, we need to put in a good performance, though, to get us in the mood for the next few games. John Foster as well. He's put, now's as good a time as any to play him. Hopefully they'll be caught sleeping. Obviously, it's at LSV, behind closed doors, which, under the current circumstances, we fully understand. Do you think that's going to play an impact in it, that we're not there and there's no fans in this game? I know, the announcer at LSV called us the 12th man. Do you think the girls will be missing that on Sunday, Ian?
I think they will a bit, yes. I don't think they've played, all 4 of their preseason games that I'm aware of have been all played at the LSV.
Yeah.
So they had 4 games in dead silence there. Obviously, it's not a real competitive game, but yeah, it's going to have a bit of an impact on them. We know from speaking with the players how much our support means to them, home and away. I think I was listening to the women's football show on Sky on, when was that? Can't remember when it was, but they've admitted that, every time, was it? I can't remember what it was, but Chelsea basically admitted that the 2 games they've played against us in the past, they didn't turn up at. And if we're honest, there were only 2 1-0 defeats.
Yeah.
So, and that was with us behind them and supporting the girls. But I think that our support being missing will impact them. Yes. I just hope it's not a big impact. It's just a small impact that, let's be honest, the girls still don't want Casey giving them a rocket. So there's enough motivation from that line.
Yeah. Jake, behind closed doors, can you see it being an issue for them?
I don't. As much as say, we do really add something, we really get behind the girls. I don't think it will, because obviously both United and Chelsea have been behind closed doors for pre-season. We've seen some impressive results in the pre-season as well for United. So the team are coming together. Casey's put them through a rigorous pre-season, I'm quite sure. And whatever setback we have, they have as well, because whatever fans that they would have brought up, they don't have. So even though we're the home team, it's going to be a big empty space. It's still, at the end of the day, it's a game of football. Both teams are in the same position. It's going to be a case of who's the better team on the day.
Yeah, John Fry in the comments, he's put Chelsea played with no crowd at Wembley, so they're used to competitive games already. It might be a shock to our girls not to hear the crowd behind them. I don't want to make us sound like we're the best fans in the world, but as Ian said, the girls know we're there, and they always seem to rise to the occasion. And as Ian said quite rightly, we've been beaten by Chelsea twice, both close 1-0 losses. Do you see it being a tight game, this one, or an open, flowing game, Jake?
I can see it being tight, yeah. Not as tight as what we've had in the past, because, Ian's just mentioned Chelsea maybe didn't turn up in the 2 games that we've played against them. So maybe I'm just fearing the worst, that they'll turn up and have a really good go at us. But I'm not too confident heading into it. I'm not going to lie to you. Just the summer recruitment that they've had, obviously signing Melanie Leopold, it's a massive signing for them. Obviously Peniel Harder coming in as well, an even bigger signing. And if Sam Kerr has her shooting boots on, which obviously she didn't last weekend, we could be in trouble. So I'm not dancing around the fact that there goes Sam Kerr. I'm not dancing around the fact that Chelsea are strong favourites to win. But I think it could be a game of defence for us, honestly.
So, Ian, what kind of game do you see it being? Close, open, tight? Casey, is she going to do something that a lot of fans, have always said that you should just come to she's going to park the bus, or do you see it? First game of the season, win or lose it doesn't make any difference in the grander scheme of things, but just let's get something going.
We all know Casey is one that says to go forward, you've got to be solid at the back.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have our usual. We'll have a back four, Hayley Ladd, supporting it. If Lucy Staniforth was available, I think she would have been in as well to have two holding midfielders. With her not being available, I don't know if Jackie or Katie will do it, but I think we will come at this a little bit cautiously. I think Casey will come at it a bit cautiously. So I have a feeling that I think we'll see Chelsea playing fairly open football, but we will be a little bit more restricted. We're not going to be playing attacking football, if that makes sense. I think we'll be probably trying to do them on the counter.
Yeah, it does. And actually, Ian started there to say what his team will be. So I'm going to give you a little bit of thinking time, because I want you to try and work out your starting 11s as well. I know mine, so I'll go first. Mine would be Mary Earps in goal. I'm going to start with Honor at right back, her preferred position, even though I know she has played left back in some of the preseason games, because I've seen the meltdowns on Twitter from fans and saying, oh, why are we playing her at left back? Her right back's a position. I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to go Amy and Millie for this one. And at left back, I'm going to go with Lotta. Then I'm going to play Hayley Ladd as a holding midfielder, because that's her best position. Then I'm going to go with Katie, Jackie, just in front, and then I'm playing Jess bang through the middle, Leah on the left, Kirsty Hansen on the right. Bing bang bosh. Thank you very much. 3 points. We'll see you later. I wish it was that easy, but
in an ideal world, maybe.
In an ideal world. Just before I come to you, one of you two for you, John Fry's going for a 4-2-3-1 formation, which is kind of what I kind of did. And Torrin has said we have less to lose than Chelsea has, so we need to have fun out there and give it a go. And that's absolutely right. So, Ian, you're starting 11.
Mary in the sticks. Then I will have a back four of Honor, Millie, Abs, and Lotta. I'm then going to put Amy T as a defensive midfielder alongside Hayley.
Oh, now that's controversial.
I think it could work.
I know. Well, we'll come back and discuss that in a minute, because it's a very good point. Okay.
And then I'm then going to say you're going to have to play Leah on the right. Sorry, Leah on the left.
Better.
The left side of the three. I would then put Katie and Jackie as the other two. And then up top, I'm going to put Ivana.
Ooh. We'll come back and talk about that as well then. Okay. Jake.
Well, that was very experimental, wasn't it?
If you're ever going to experiment against the champions. I mean, what else you got to lose?
I like your thinking there, Ian. I really do, because why not have a different approach to what we've tried in the past against them? But maybe I've gone a bit traditional with mine. So obviously, Mary in goal, back four. I'm going to put Honor on the left back. Let's have both Turners at centre back, Millie and Amy, and then Millie, Amy. Let's have a right back. No, let's have. Do you know what? I'm going for a full physical team here. Let's move Honor to right back.
Okay.
Let's put Martha at left back. Now that's a very interesting one, but I'm
Okay.
going for a full physical team here.
Okay.
So we have that. So Martha, Amy, Millie, Honor. We're going to have two defensive midfielders. They are going to be Hayley and Katie. Left wing, obviously, Leah. Right wing, Kirsty. Then I want to go for two very physical players as well. Attacking midfield, we're going to have Lauren James. And then up top, Jess Sigsworth.
Interesting. John Foster, he's great idea about Amy, Ian. So if someone likes it. So Ian, what was you thinking around putting Amy Turner as a defensive midfielder? Because I'll be honest, I've never thought of it, but it's a great idea.
Do you know what? It came to me literally. You said, think about it. And I thought, we know how good Amy is as a centre back. And we also know that she can, on a day, distribute as well. She's not always, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I do think we will need that little bit more help in between the midfield and the defence, because Chelsea could easily overrun us quickly with the players they've got. So that little bit of extra help for Hayley, plus there's a bit of physicality in there as well. You know, Hayley's physical, Amy's physical. You know, physicality is what is probably going to get a Sam Kerr, a Pernell Harder if she plays off their game. So that's just my thinking, is we need an extra body in the middle of the park to give us some numbers, because they're going to have. We don't want, we want them to have to play through us rather than be quick. You know, if we only have one in the middle, they could be easily round us quite quickly. With two, they'll have to slow down the play and pass. So that will slow down the game a bit as well, which will be in our best interest as well.
What I find interesting about that, Ian, is that you said you're going to be a bit more physical. Now, just to, I actually like the idea. For me, I never thought of it, and I'm kind of beating myself up about that. I never thought of it. But if Lucy Staniforth wasn't suspended, would she have made it in way of Amy's position, or is it two different? Are you looking for that physicality and not the box to box that Lucy is?
If Lucy was available, I would have put her in, because I would put her in because her ability to play the ball out quick, she can look up one touch pass, so she will get attacks going quicker than an Amy Turner will. But either way, we need, in my opinion, two bodies back there. And the only other, I don't think Katie. It's not Katie's. Katie doesn't do doesn't do defensive midfielder. Jackie doesn't do defensive. They're both attack-minded players. So Lucy Staniforth has played defensive midfielder, knows how to play the position. So it's just a case of Lucy's not available. Who's the best fit to go in there? And for me, it's Amy.
John Foster's asking a question to you, Ian. Did you choose Ivana for pace on the counter-attack?
Yes.
There you go, John. It's a straightforward answer. Jake and I both went for Jess. Ian, I know you love watch. Jess is a proper centre forward and is the kind of player you need. Was it a difficult decision for you to leave Jess out for Ivana, or was it a purely tactical reason for you that Ivana's going to give us that pace? And, for example, Millie Bright might not have the legs on her to catch someone like Ivana.
I'm going to say, Jess isn't slow. Let's get that right. She will beat quite a few of us in a 100-yard dash. But Ivana,
head start she gives me.
Just what I've seen of Ivana online, and just some of the bits we've seen from the pre-season that United have put out, in training and things like that. Ivana caught us, I think, all of us off. I don't think any of us were expecting Ivana to join or had any inkling she was on her way. But what I've seen of her, I've been really impressed. I know she's young. She's got a lot to learn, but her pace, her control, she could cause Chelsea, and as said, Millie, a lot of problems because there's not the greatest amount of pace in that Chelsea backline.
Just before I come to you, Jake, John Fry has put his team up. He's gone Mary, Honor, Amy Millie, Lotta, Hayley and Jackie is his two midfield. Ivana, now he's put Ivana on the right, Leah on the left, LJ as an attacking midfielder, and Jess as a forward. I think what's coming out is that a lot of people are saying Jess has to go through the middle. Jay, you've been on these podcasts throughout the whole of the pandemic, and consequently, you've been the biggest supporter of Jess. And I know, like Ian and me, you're massive fans of Jess. Is this the game where you've got to go Jess through the middle and be Jess Sigsworth and be, just raise hell against them kind of thing?
Yeah, like we've all seen how good Jess can be. Like when she's out of possession, she's chasing every defender down. She's putting them under pressure. She's giving them a shove here and there. And when you look at Chelsea's partnership of Eriksson and Bright, now I've watched Chelsea over the last few seasons. That is an incredibly hard defence to break down. So that's why I'm thinking, let's fight fire with fire. They're very physical, so is Jess. And I think Jess can win those battles. So, look, she only needs one chance. And when, let's say she manages to wrestle the ball off one of them, you never know what can happen. And I completely get where, Ian and John are saying by, let's have Ivana on. And she looks very exciting. Like I've said a few times to you all, on these podcasts, on the social, Ivana's got to be the surprise package of this season, but I don't think Chelsea's the right game for her.
I'm kind of 50-50 with it. I want Jess. My team, I was pretty honest, Jess starts through the middle. And I was reading on Twitter, some guy was saying Ivana can be the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Come off the bench with 20 minutes to go when teams are getting tired and just run and raise and give them problems. I agree with you completely, Jake. I think Ivana is going to be the unknown quantity this year for us. John Fry in the comments, he said Jess is a bit more physical than Ivana. But I kind of like both your teams. Jake, the one person I want to speak about for you was that obviously I picked Kirsty Hansen as well, but Kirsty on the right for you. Is this a big season for Kirsty, do you think? Because she was injured at the back end of the season and she played well I think she played well up until the injury. So is this a big season for Kirsty? Because she obviously got her international senior call up to Scotland. So is it a big push on season for Kirsty?
Absolutely. Like you look back at the first season, obviously back in the Championship when Kirsty was part of the original group, and she was there, but she was obviously doing her studies at the same time. So I think we only saw half of what she was capable of. Now, as you mentioned, last season I think that was sort of Kirsty's breakthrough season. Had she not been injured, it would have been a fantastic season for her. Obviously, it never even got to finish. So I think this is a season where Kirsty takes it to the next level. Really establishes herself in the Scotland team as well as our own. And I can see Kirsty scoring some more goals this season. Like if you remember the one she scored against Reading last season, I see a few more volleys like those coming from her.
John in the comments, he's gone, I'll go for experience at the start of the game, I think, then speed off the bench. The one of the positions that I think most people are struggling with, if I'm being honest, is left back. You were humming and hawing, Jake. Ian, you were pretty adamant Lotta was to go there. Kirsty Smith didn't feature in any of the three of ours, and I've said it on the podcast, and I said it I think when we did the Player of the Year awards, that to the back end of that of the COVID season, as it's called, Kirsty Smith was one of our best players. Is it just Lotta is a left back? That's her natural position. Is it For you, Ian, it's very straightforward. Lotta's a left back. She plays at her preferred position. And I know you put Martha at left back, is it, Jake, for her physicality?
Yeah, I know it's a bit of a surprise choice.
Yeah, so was it just, for you, Ian, was it Lotta, that's her position? And for you, Jake, is it as simple as is Martha a bit more physical than Kirsty?
I think, yeah.
Okay, go on, sorry, Jake.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, no, I think Martha's the most physical of any of our fullbacks, and it's just that reason. That's the only reason. And maybe later on in the game we can take her off for a bit more pace. As some of the comments have suggested. But yeah, I'm going for a fully physical squad.
Ian,
do you know what? I would be more than happy if Kirsty starts over. Over Lotta, I wouldn't have an issue with that. I wouldn't. It was just a case of I had to put someone in there. Kirsty Smith is, as you said, at the back end of last season, came on leaps and bounds, and I would have no issue putting her at left back either. So if she started at left back over Lotta, I wouldn't have an issue with that at all. So. I'd be equally happy with either of them. I'll be honest with you. Going back to the point of Kirsty, she's in a contract season because she only got a 1-year deal with no extension, if I remember correctly. So she has got a lot to play for this season, and I'm going to say this now: we will see the best of Kirsty Hansen this season. I honestly do.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like Kirsty Hansen. She's a. I like fast wingers. John Fry. Before we go back to Kirsty Hansen, John Fry thinks a natural left footer should be at left back. I agree. And good evening, Max. Thank you for joining us. Kirsty Hansen. Yeah, I'm hoping it's a good season. I hope she can stay injury free. So yeah, I hope we see the best of her. Jake,
she
I know
might also learn a lot. Sorry, Mark. She might also learn a lot if things happen as we're expecting. She might get a lot of good teaching.
She might well do, and obviously those rumours are circulating, and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah,
the position from up front, goal. We didn't score enough goals last season. I think everyone's been honest enough. I think even Casey said that we had so many chances, we should have scored more than we did. Is playing Jess as a number 9 going to help answer that problem? Instead of playing her out on the right? Or was it as simple as when Kirsty Hansen's injured, for example, is there no one really on the right who can play there except maybe Jess? Jake?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because obviously I think we're all in agreement that Jess has to play down the middle, and yeah, I like her up on her own. I think she's out of all the strikers, she's the one who's most capable of playing up there on her own. But as you say, if Kirsty goes out injured, who do you stick on the right? Is it worth sacrificing our best striker, in my opinion, for a right winger? It's one of those, isn't it? It's hard to decide. If it was up to me personally, maybe I would push Jackie out to the right, just because I've seen her play there for the Netherlands, the national team, and I think out of all of our midfielders, she'd probably adapt the best to being on the right wing. Obviously, that would be in an emergency situation where we don't have Kirsty, and maybe some more our other midfielders don't feel comfortable stepping up to a wing role. But look, as I say, Jess, keep her in the middle as much as we can.
I mean, we have to allude to what Ian said as well, that if the rumours, of the Kristen Press and Tobin Heath coming over, does that answer the problems kind of with the goal scoring, or are just United fans going to get so far ahead of themselves with the potential of these two coming in that actually keep your feet on the ground and let's have what we have there take care of themselves kind of thing?
Well, I've been going on about transfers non-stop, haven't I, about how all the teams are strengthened, but this would really this would be the headline signing for any team if these two did join. And I think they would definitely have goals. We've all seen Kristen Press score against England and many other teams for that matter for the US team. So yeah, Kristen Press is a great finisher, and Tobin, she's quick. She's really good up and down the wings. So she can add some stability, as you say. Should Kirsty or Leah get injured, obviously we hope they don't, but should that happen, we've got Tobin to come in. But that's all conditional. Nothing's done yet, is it?
The rumours are still there. There's people that Ian and I know, and you know, Jake, that have gone out and bought merchandise with the names on it already.
Yeah.
But as they say, there's no news is good news. So we don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Ian, one position that I really wanted to talk to you about is Hayley Ladd, because obviously Jake's a massive fan, and we've only Hayley Ladd won the Barmy Army Player of the Year quite easily, I think. If she gets injured, and I'm going back to your point, if she gets injured, which we don't want her to, and I hope I haven't put the curse on her for that, who would you then play in that position to shore us up?
Week in, week out.
Yeah.
I would put Lucy Staniforth there.
Okay. And that's interesting. Jake, who would you have done the same?
I wouldn't, because I see Lucy as a more central / attacking midfield. I don't know if she'd fit in too well in terms of defensive midfield, because Hayley's a much more physical player than Lucy, who as we heard the term box to box, if you like, but it's a hard one, isn't it? Ian, I might actually steal your idea and say put Amy up there.
Okay, so you're just now okay, fair enough. One of the other things I wanted to talk about was our build-up play. Our build-up play sometimes, and some people on social media being critical that we go side to side too much, and then eventually we build it through the front to get it to the front. Do you want to see a more direct style of play, or are you actually kind of happy with the way we're doing it? Because we are, through the way we are playing, we are creating enough chances. Last year we didn't have the luck to put them away. Ian?
I'd like it to be a bit of a hybrid, if that makes sense. A bit of both. One thing we've been critical of is we don't seem to get balls into the box all that often.
Yeah.
And if Jess is playing through the middle, where she should be playing, I don't like Jess on the right wing. I'm going to say that right now. I do not think it's Jess's best position. Jess is through the middle, and she will cause issues. If we can get balls into the box, she will cause issues. Just look at the Glasgow City highlights. It's the only highlights we've obviously had from pre-season, but all the goals came from crosses into the box. So there is a time for the direct play that we've seen on the build-up play that are going side to side, because that does work. If we move the ball side to side quick enough, we create space. And you give someone like Leah space, just look at what she did to Everton back in February. She destroyed them. So that type of play does work, but we also need to be a little bit more, as I said, we need to be a bit more, have more than one attacking weapon at our disposal, because otherwise we'll be found out and we won't get the space. We might switch the ball side to side, but the defenders will just stay, instead of moving across, they'll just keep themselves wide and there won't be the space.
Before I come to you, Jake, with the same question, John Fry has said, if we play with pace up front, we need to utilise it at the right times. Are you happy? Like I said, are you happy with our style, with the way we play, with going side to side for a bit and then getting it out and getting it up, or would you like it like Ian and John have said, a bit of mixing it up a bit?
It's got to be with whatever Casey and the players are comfortable with at the end of the day. And I know we were a bit critical up to now about playing it side to side in FB, And I can completely see that because there's countless occasions last season where we play it from wing to wing and then back into midfield, and we'd eventually lose possession, and chances weren't being created. But I think maybe that's the way. I think that's the way Casey set them up, and I say that obviously Casey's a very defensive-minded manager. I think that's the way to go, as long as the players can fine-tune it, if you know what I mean, and just sort of have that confidence in keeping possession. Who knows? Maybe even launch a shot from outside the box. You never know, because there are players in this team that are capable of scoring screamers. Absolutely.
So let's just say Sunday, it's 0-0, 5 minutes to go. You've brought on Ivana. With 5 minutes to go, do you just go, oh, let's go for it, gung-ho, all-out attack? Or is there a part of you that's going, 5 minutes to go, 0-0, they've got some very good players. Do we park the bus, so to speak? Jake?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I think it all leads to what's been happening up to those 5 minutes. Have we been on the back foot all match, or has it been fairly tight, fairly even? I'm going to be a bit adventurous for a change. I'm going to say, yeah, let's go. Let's all out attack. Push everyone forwards. Get the wingers really in on the Chelsea full-backs and see what we can do. Plenty of crosses into the box for the last few minutes.
Ian, same. Go for it with 5 to go.
I would not want to. The one thing I don't want to see is to sit back and sit back and sit back and sit back like we did against Arsenal. So I would love to see at that stage. I know LJ's been injured and recovering, but LJ be on the pitch, Ivana be on the pitch. Jess would probably be subbed off by then if she starts. But if Jess was still on, I would love to see those three up. If Chelsea had a corner, if you kept two of those up, people like Millie Bright won't be in the penalty area to cause issues like we know she can from set pieces. So I would like to see us go for it a little bit more than we have done in those types of situations. We've been in the past, we've sat back. I would like to see, try and keep the game open, try and keep Chelsea keen. Instead of Chelsea just thinking we can pile everybody forward and not have to worry about United coming the other way, give Chelsea something to think about.
Before we change the subject to the other news of the week, which was the Conti Cup draw, your predictions for Sunday. Ooh. Jake?
I've built this up quite well, haven't I? But I'm going to be really negative now, and I hate to say it, but look, Chelsea are a different quality. United 0, Chelsea 2. Sorry.
Okay. Ian?
(3-1) Chelsea.
I'm going for Chelsea. Unfortunately, I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I'm going for a tight Chelsea win. I'm going for a goal either way. Just before we move on to the Conti Cup, John has said in the comments, agree with Jake, depends how we've been playing for the other 85. A through ball from Jackie to Jess would be perfect. Don't think there's many of us that wouldn't agree with that. John Foster, LJ made more of a central attacking midfielder perhaps this season if Jess plays more games up top. And John Fry, he's gone for a Chelsea win as well. So the other news this week was the Conti Cup draw was made, and we saw it say a draw. It happened. As was predicted, we've got City, Liverpool, and Everton. Unfortunately, the Everton isn't going to be at Southport. Boo. Thoughts on the draw, Jake?
Well, it's very similar to previous seasons, isn't it? I mean, obviously we've got Everton again, who we're no strangers to them. They're no strangers to us. We've got City, of course. We've got City, and Liverpool, which should be a good game, even though they've been relegated. It's good to be playing them. So it's unpredictable, isn't it? And it's really interesting how how the FA have now split it into 6 groups as opposed to 4. Obviously, you got some 3-team groups in that, and it's all a little bit of a mess, but it's going to be a very good group. Even though we think it's sort of been put together, if you like, it's going to be a very, very exciting cup.
So that's one of the things I wanted to speak to Iain about. So, as last year's Conti Cup, the top 2 from each group went through.
Yep.
But it's not happening this year.
Nope.
So, do you want to explain now the new format, Iain, of the Conti Cup?
Basically, the Conti Cup will be the top of each group will qualify with the best 2 runners-up. Now, I don't know if they've stipulated yet if they have to be one from the north, one from the south, or they can both be from the north or both from the south. I think it's just the best 2 runners-up from what I understand. There is an issue with that because obviously you're thinking, hang on, you've got a group of 3 in there. There is one group of 3. So they've said that the results against, I think it's the bottom team, will not be counted from the groups of 4. So if whoever finishes 4th in our group and they get smashed 6-0 by somebody, that 6-0 result is taken out of the equation basically for the best runners up.
Okay.
That's just how I understand it's going to go ahead. So yeah, group winners, best 2 runners up will qualify. So basically, this is where you want to win, say for us, beat Liverpool, beat Everton, and say draw with City, you've got a chance.
Yeah. John Fry, very much like you, was, surprise, surprise, look who we've drawn. I mean, there was so many of the teams we could have possibly got. I think we spoke about it on one of the socials. We could have got Sheffield. We might have got Villa, I think, if the pairings were made differently. But they've made this a completely northwest group. I hope we can at least get to some of those games and be allowed in. But that depends on the current circumstances. Are you confident, though, of coming through that group potentially, Iain?
It's going to be tight. It really is. Liverpool aren't going to be a pushover. If I'm honest, we know what happened in the friendly on Sunday. Obviously, friendly results mean nothing when it comes to the main season, but I don't see Liverpool as being a pushover that people think they might be. Everton has strengthened really well over the summer. We all know Man City has strengthened really well over the summer. So I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to depend where those because we still don't have a clue exactly where these fixtures are going to fit in. We just know that the first round is sometime in October, isn't it? Is when they said the first round of fixtures is going to be. City have obviously got Champions League games as well. So if it comes off the back or in front of a Champions League game, I don't see, say, a City playing a full strength side. I think they would probably rotate a bit. So, we've got a good history against Everton, a good history against Liverpool. City, we've beaten them, we've lost to them. So yeah, I think we've got a good chance. If we play the way we know we can play, I think we could win the group. I think we could win 3 out of 3. But it would all depend. One thing I would say is though, some teams are only going to play 1 game at home if there are fans around. The other 2 games will be away.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the draw, on how the fixtures come out.
Jake, confident of winning that group? Or are you going to say,
No, I'm not confident at all. I'm not going to say we're going out, but look, Man City. I think last season in the Conti Cup we had a tough group, but obviously Birmingham weren't in the finest 4 last season, and obviously we had Leicester as well. So this group is quite literally the hardest group you could get in a regional Conti Cup group. So I think City, if we beat them again, that'll be brilliant. But I think they definitely had an off day when we beat them last season. And then obviously you've got Everton, who strengthens a lot, and it's hard to predict that one. And Liverpool, who I think we can beat, but look, it's the Conti Cup. Anything can happen, as I like to say.
Yeah, I guess I'm more Ian. I'm going more Ian's way. I'm going. I think we could win the group.
I like that.
Deborah said in the comments, "Come on, Jake, it's the Conti Cup. We know how much you love it." But with all these competitions and everything that's going on, and obviously this weekend, potentially every team is at a disadvantage with no fans being allowed in anyway. Are the games going to be, when we can get back in, and obviously it's going to be possibly on a reduced capacity that we understand from reading from the FA directives and what the governments are saying, and games that have happened, this weekend. John Fry put into the comments that they had 2,500 fans, Brighton Chelsea this weekend, so hopefully fans should be allowed in soon. When we get back into games, do you think it's going to be a lift for all the teams that their fans can get into games? And do you think it's a disadvantage to, say, Chelsea this weekend that they can't, if we were allowed in and they couldn't bring any fans down, is it a disadvantage, home fans being allowed in and away fans not? Jake?
Absolutely. I think that's very unfair, but it's not. I'm not the decision maker. Yeah, it would have been a massive disadvantage to them. So I think, in a way, behind closed doors is the fairest way to do it. But look, that's the thing. It's when the fans do come back, will they sort of lift the teams? Also, I'd just like to bring in next weekend. We have I think it's West Ham Arsenal, where they are trialing up to 1,000 fans there. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah. Deborah's put in the comments, maybe behind closed door help some teams. No pressure from fans, no atmosphere could work for some teams. I know on the social on Sunday, Ian and I were discussing the Brighton Chelsea game, and Ian had a work colleague there, Ian. Is that right?
Yeah, friend was there.
And did it work all right?
Yeah. Yeah, what I've heard back is that, it went really well. Obviously, outside the stadiums, lots of hand sanitizing stations, recommending, keep your face mask on. Once you're in the Stadium Bowl, again, everything was contactless, so there's no tickets, everything was electronic. So it wouldn't surprise me if for season tickets this season they send out an electronic one.
Yeah,
something you could send, save into your iPhone wallet or something that you can just pull out with a QR code on it. Then, obviously, within the Stadium Bowl itself, you had to always, your face mask was mandatory at all times whilst you were in the Stadium Bowl, unless you were having something to drink or you were eating. And then once you're in your seat, you didn't have to wear it. There wasn't any restrictions on singing or anything like that. Literally, it was basically when you're in a Stadium Bowl, you sat in your allocated seat, you didn't move, and you enjoyed the game like you'd normally do. So I think the only thing that was on there is obviously that it's the standing up side of things. Obviously, when it comes to certain grounds, you've got no choice but to stand in places. So I'm not sure how I think that would probably be a self-police thing. But if in an all-seater stadium or in seating areas, you'll be restricted to your little seating area and told to stay sat down.
Yeah, I mean, I know the two of you as well as myself, we're itching to get back to games. I mean, I've been to a couple of local games where they've had a couple of hundred in, and what staggers me is that it felt so normal straight away just to get back to a game, and I can't wait to get back into to LSV or even may I say it maybe one day Old Trafford, but who knows. So going back though to the WSL season, because obviously that's this week, the big start this weekend. I know we've talked about it before. I'm not going to go over that same discussion of where would you like United to finish. Is this an important season for United though this year? Should we have the dreams of the Champions League, or should we just go if it happens, it happens, or should we just, is this the season for us to think about it, or is it for the season to build on, Casey's mantra of let's build it up slowly? I've seen Ian just have a wry look there. So Ian, guess who we're starting with? You're correct, Jake.
Yes.
I think Champions League at the moment has to remain a dream. It's an all-sight, but I don't think it should be, the required target, because let's not forget, it's the whole thing of the top 3 divide and the rest of the league. I think Arsenal could be in all-sights this season, and I've said it a few times. I feel like they'll drop points here and there. Well, it's about whether we drop points or we, take full advantage. So Champions League's still a dream, but you never know. It could be a very special season.
So Ian.
Okay, caveat time.
Oh, here we go. Buckle yourselves in, everyone. Here we go.
Caveat time. I know Jake's mentioned that Arsenal might be slipping back towards us, but I also think Man City are slipping back.
Can I just stop you there for 1 second, Ian? I said this last week, and I got shot down when I said this. And people are saying it in the comments. So thank you, Ian, for saying what I said. You can carry on.
So we have to remember that Champions League qualification at the end of the season is top 3. Not the top 2. It is the top 3 from this season onwards. So my gut feeling is that if a certain people from across the pond do arrive, top 3 is a possibility. If they don't, then I think we'll finish 4th. I think we'll stay where we are.
Okay, so just before we carry on with this, there is some comments in the chat. John Fry, it's a building season for us, maybe a cup win. And he said, I think City is up for grabs for 3rd if any of the top 3 struggle. And Deborah has said she'll never shoot me down. So that's kind of thankful for that. What I'm interested in, and I know, Jake, you and I have spoken about Arsenal, they might be slipping. Ian, why have you said City? Just out of interest.
I'm going to go back to what I saw last season of them. Obviously, they have brought in some really good. They brought in 2 very good players from the US. There's no doubt about that. There's the possibility of, obviously, of Lucy Bronze and Alex Greenwood going into the club as well. However, I am concerned about City's centre-back pairing. They've not strengthened in centre-back at all, really. And Steph Horton has mistakes in her, and plenty of them. So I don't think City are going to have issues going forward this season. I think City are going to have issues keeping the ball out of the back of the net this season. So I think they might draw games they should win, and some teams might nick one on them. If City aren't playing well, there's possibilities that someone could nick 3 points off them.
Jake, before I come to you on the point, again, more comments are coming in. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Deborah says, if the Yanks turn up and our defence was a bit more stable, just imagine. John Fry, new coach, new players, but some of them are getting older. It's a fair point. Deborah very eloquently just says that. And she also says, it goes on to say, she could have a lot of high-scoring games this season. My point, the reason I said, and she's just put one more comment in, and let's hope Kira Walsh gets sent off a few times as well. My point is, actually, I agree with John Fry in the comments that some of their players are getting older. I know Jill Scott, she's been offered, she's now signed a new contract, but she's now more of a coach than a player. Steph Houghton as well. Is that where you would see their weakness, is going down the middle at them, Jake? Because I know you've watched them.
Yeah, possibly, because like you look at all the strengthening they've done. Obviously, they brought in Chloe Kelly, Lauren Hemp's coming through as a really good young winger, and they've got a good forward line now. With obviously got Ellen White, the country's best striker. But then notice something. I've not mentioned the centred midfield or centred defence yet, have I? Obviously, they've got the midfielders in, but you made a really good point. How long is that central defensive partnership going to last? Are they going to be conceding more goals? Because City, really good up the wings, really good in attack. Everywhere else, it's a bit up in the air for them, isn't it? So I think a lot of it's going to come down to Gareth Taylor as well. New manager coming in. Is he going to stick with the tactics that Cushing left, or is this a new look City? Is this a transition period for them? It's going to be exciting.
John Fry, he's said just go down the centre against them. And Deborah's put some team news up for us. Lauren Hemp's out for a while with a hamstring injury. So who knows? I'm kind of in the... Until we know what is potentially going to happen with the American signings, I'm in the John Fry camp. That it's a new season. We didn't finish the whole WSL season last year, and you can see what Casey's building. She's brought in two very young players in Honor and Ivana, and she's brought in that experience with Lucy. So I'm in the build and look, building a cup win potentially. But I think the one thing that we all are is, on the one hand, we're all very excited that the season's starting on Sunday, but on the other hand, we're all upset because we can't be there to watch it. But unfortunately, that's where the world is right now. And October, I believe it is, Ian. It's when they're going to start maybe looking at allowing fans back in. Yeah.
Sorry, you kind of broke up. Sorry.
October, is that when they're looking about getting fans in?
Yeah, I was going to say Arsenal have announced that they're trying to get people in for the game on October 3rd, was it? Or something like that? I can't remember exactly the date. But yeah, October for a limited number. It'll be interesting for us what they do with the LSV, because if they only want to keep the one stand open, then numbers won't be that great. But if they're willing to open all three, you should still get our normal attendance in. So
yeah, again, these are all things that we're waiting to find out. So we're going to start to wrap it up now, and so we're all set. All three of us have unfortunately said we're going to probably lose at the weekend. I'm the only one who said we're going to come away with a close win. You two have said we're going to get a hammering kind of thing in a nice way. But the following weekend we've got Birmingham, and is that when our season starts against Birmingham? Really, for you two?
Yeah, it's like last season. We didn't expect anything out of the first two games. Liverpool season starts, so Birmingham have got a really good coach in. We all know Carla really well. She's a really good coach. So that Birmingham team, yes, they've lost players, but she's gonna have them in good shape. But it's a game. I'm going to use the Casey mantra as a game we should win.
Jake, same for you?
Yeah, definitely. Birmingham are really up against it this season. Carla's come in. There's a bit of positivity there. Brought in a few new faces, but it's a game we should have fun in. It's a game we should. We do have to take it seriously. We can't take the points for granted, but we have to loosen up a bit. We maybe experiment a little bit, but just focus on getting the job done rather than sort of worrying about defending, which is what we're doing with this Chelsea game.
Just quickly before we do go, a couple of comments come in. Deborah's put, miss not hanging Jake's flags, miss Ian doing Twitter from the LSV. And she's also put, season starts when fans are back in and the Yanks are in. So we're going to end it. We're going to end the show. Just on our socials over the next couple of days, we are going to get back to doing what we were doing when the season was on with the warm up. Natalie's going to be back with the warm up. That'll probably be out on Friday, and then next Wednesday, myself or Deborah or some of the others will be back to review the Sunday's game and also preview the upcoming game against Birmingham. So can I just thank you both, Iain and Jake, for coming on. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for everyone for watching, and we'll see you all soon. Take care.